And I want to welcome all of you for this webinar this morning. This is Anita with the Kemp Center. I manage the National Center on Family Group Decision Making. And first and foremost, I want to say thank you to all of you for making the effort to be here today. And also thank you for putting your submissions in to be considered to present for this conference. We're very, very pleased with the sessions that we received this year. A lot of sessions that just look really, really good. And I'm feeling a little bummed that I can't figure out how to be in a lot of sessions at once to be able to see everyone else's sessions. So I look forward to seeing you all and hearing how your sessions go while we are in San Diego. With that, I'm going to get us started. So what I want to do, there we go, is to start out with some things to consider prior to the conference, just to make sure you're all aware. Many of you have presented at conferences before, and perhaps many of you have presented at our conferences before. This, I believe, will be our 22nd conference. So with that said, you see we've got some information about handouts. You will be able to upload your handout to Whova, which is the conference app that is not available to you. It will be available probably next week, where you will be able to upload your sessions. We will be sending out information via email that will provide you the link in order to begin uploading your information into Whova, and I'll say more about that in a little bit. As you see here too, presenters can copy and print handouts to distribute. Most rooms seat approximately 40 to 50 people. So if you're feeling the need to copy, you're welcome to do so. Just know that we have no idea exactly how many people will attend your session. That's really, you know, people just make that decision at the moment. And if you have extra handouts, what we'll be doing is, we always have a take one table where you can leave your extra handouts if you'd like to after your session is over, so that others who may not have gotten a chance to attend your session will be able to pick those handouts up. Whova, I mentioned that a moment ago. That is our conference app. You'll receive an email next week with information including your individual link in order to download the app and access your speaker page. And when you get to your speaker page, as you see, you'll be able to upload your session material. And you will also be able to upload other information if you choose to. You'll be able to put in things like your bio and any other information that you think would be pertinent that you would like to share. So we just ask that you follow the instructions when you get that email next week. And I would ask those of you who are lead presenters, and even those of you who are not the lead presenter, to please make sure that all of your other presenters, co-presenters, receive the email. We have a pretty solid list of everyone's email addresses. However, it is possible that there are still some missing, and or people could, that the emails that we send could be going to people's spam folders. So we just ask that you confirm that your co-presenters have received the emails. Again, I'm going to ask that everybody place their phones on mute. Thank you so much. So as far as the AV equipment, when you get into your rooms, your conference rooms, in order to present the day of the conference that you're presenting, we will have laptops with VGA input. I'm still hearing people who are not on mute. I would ask that you please place your phones on mute and or your laptops on mute so that others can hear. So you will have available to you a laptop, a projector, audio speakers, and Wi-Fi for the presenters only in the conference room. We would ask that you bring at least one flash drive with your PowerPoint on it. I actually recommend more than one flash drive. The reason being is, as many of you know, I travel all over and provide training and stuff. And sometimes one flash drive might not work. So it's just always a good idea to have more than one just in case. Make sure your flash drive is not encrypted. The other thing is that if you plan to use your own laptop, you're responsible for bringing your own connectors, adapters, etc. Some people prefer, for instance, to use their Mac laptops, their Mac Airs, etc., rather than the laptops we have. That's fine, but you will need to bring your own adapters and all of that to use. In addition, your conference room will also have flip chart and 1 to 2 markers. So if you plan to do an activity in your session where you're going to need more than 2 markers, I would ask that you bring your own markers in order to have enough for everyone that you would need if you're breaking into small groups, etc. Room monitors. What that means is that we will once again this year have room monitors available. They will be stationed in like one meeting room. We'll have one room monitor that will stay in that meeting room for all the sessions that are held in that meeting room that day. So their jobs, they're all volunteers. Their jobs are to help with any issues with the conference room that you may have. So whether it is that the conference room is too warm or too cold, or whether it is that there's something missing in the room, the water needs to be refilled or something to that extent, that they will take care of that. They will also be able to access IT assistance if that is needed, if you're having any issues with that. They can help you with distributing handouts and session materials if you would like them, just ask them. And they will also help to remind people to fill out the session evaluation, which is part of that Whova app. Again, we've gone paperless. So as a result, there's very little paper that we'll have floating around from us at the conference. And so people will be able to fill out session evals via the Whova app. We may have some session evals available in the room, but most of we're going to really encourage people to use the app. So timing of your sessions. We would ask that before your session, the day of your session, to please allow 15 minutes for setup. What that means is, as most of you know, that there's usually 15 minutes between the time a session ends and the time another session begins. There will be a couple of times where that's not the case, but most of the time it will be 15 minutes. So what that means is that we want you to be in the room that you're going to be presenting in 15 minutes ahead of time so that you can begin your process for getting set up and ready to go. We also ask that prior to the week of the conference, that you check that your PowerPoint is ready and confirm that all your links are working in your PowerPoint. We have had people that have just, kind of prepared their PowerPoint and then never really tested it out and get there the day of and something that's not working. So that's why we ask that you check it well ahead of time, a couple of times to make sure it's working. If you plan to show a video, once again, test the video and audio. I will be showing a brief video today, so we'll see whether I'm able to make that happen. I certainly did practice before we got on, so we'll see. At the end of your session, please make sure that you end your session on time. I know how difficult that is. I struggle with that sometimes as well, especially if there's a good conversation going on, or if I have not been able to get through all of my material. But we ask that you end your session on time, because that does affect the next presenter. They will need to get into the room and access the laptop that you've been using, most likely, unless you brought your own. If not, if you brought your own, then we'll need to make sure that the other laptop is ready to go for their session. And we would ask that you take any after-session conversations outside the conference room. It's wonderful when people come up and they have questions or, want to talk with you further. I certainly appreciate when that happens as well. And so we're just asking that you take those conversations outside so that, again, the next group can go ahead and get ready for your presentation. And so now I'm going to just show you a video that I've put together, well, not put together, that I found on YouTube that I thought would be helpful to share with you and provide some good tips. Many of you, again, have presented before, but I'm wanting to make sure that we always try to keep our sessions as state-of-the-art, current, relevant, all of those things as we possibly can. And some of us who are practitioners and or evaluators may not always do a lot of presentations, and so this may be an opportunity for you to just kind of have a few pointers. So this is approximately 6 minutes long, a little bit more than that, and then I will come back at the end of this video.
Now, I'd like to share a template that I use that provides me with the structure I need to stay on track and cover all the key ingredients I've discovered to make the presentation clear, to make it engaging, and to make it memorable for your audience. First, you have to start by engaging your audience. Clarify your purpose and your goals for the seminar or the talk. What is the central purpose of your event or presentation? What do you want people to go away from the seminar knowing, experiencing, being, or doing? Next, you have to set the tone for the day. Tell your audience why this message is important to you, what I refer to as your why. What makes you so passionate about what you're going to be sharing with them? Tell them the story, perhaps, of how you became so committed to sharing this subject. And the more open and transparent you are with your audience, the more connected and safe they will feel with you. Next, you want to include some kind of humor. You can tell a funny story, you can add cartoons into your presentation, or you can show a funny video. No matter how serious your topic is, using humor is the best way to connect with your audience and get everyone relaxed. Next, I introduce an icebreaker activity, which is specifically designed to create a safe space and give you and the group a chance to bond quickly and efficiently. It could be as short as a 90-second exercise, a short 5 to 10 minute game, or even an hour in a longer workshop filled with several short exercises done in a specific order to create a specific effect. Now, you can introduce an exercise to complete in small groups, or simply have everyone stand up and walk around the room and share 2 things they're grateful for, or why they chose to attend your presentation, what they're hoping to get out of it. So use your imagination and always demonstrate what you're asking them to do before you have them do it. For example, if you're asking them to share a recent success they've had, or to share one thing they hope to take away from the presentation today, tell them how you would answer that question before you have them do it. And again, be totally honest and transparent so the group gets to see that you're human too. This will build huge levels of trust in you. Now, the 5th thing I focus on is you've got to take time to give them what they came for. Introduce a concept or principle that will deliver on your promise to them and why it's important. In my case, I typically start with the first principle in my book, the Success Principles, which is to take 100% responsibility for your life and your results. This is the fundamental principle that everything else I teach stems from. Now, after introducing the concept, create credibility by sharing any research, any statistics, any case studies that validate what you're teaching them. 7th, then go ahead and drive your message home with a story that will illustrate the concept. Stories are a great way to Velcro your message or your concept that you're teaching into their long-term memory. And stories keep your audience engaged. Everybody loves a good story. And it's even better if it's a story from your own life. Now, that's not always possible, but personal stories have the deepest impact. Now, the 8th principle is, in order to appeal to all types of learners, I typically follow up with an interactive exercise or demonstration to drive the point home even deeper. I like to ask for a volunteer and invite them to come up on stage with me and do a demonstration for the whole group, which works best for shorter presentations and workshops. Or I might have them fill out a worksheet and then get into groups and share their answers with each other while I walk around and help them. Well, with some groups, I have them do a total group activity like a meditation or guided visualization. Number 9, at the end of the workshop or the concept you're teaching, I like to wrap it up with a debriefing session. Now, you can do this by putting people in pairs, you can put them in a small group of 3 to 6 people, or you can simply have a few people share their ahas and their awareness in front of the whole group. And this also gives the participants the opportunity to ask questions if they're feeling stuck or for something they don't understand. Now, if one person has a question, there's almost always other people who have that same question. While you're doing this, honor and celebrate the level of trust that has been established so far in your presentation. It's best to be impartial to their feedback in this part of the session. Don't necessarily evaluate their ideas or contribute more, but definitely encourage their input and then go ahead and listen to what they have to say. Number 10, one more step. When everything has been reviewed, get everyone to commit to one action step that they can take to get them closer to their goal or closer to applying what it is that you've taught them today. And then have them write it down. Better yet, have them commit it to a partner you call an accountability partner that they have to call or send an email to once they've completed. That makes people take it really seriously. And lastly, and very important, make sure that you have a clear transition when you're moving from one concept or principle to your next one. And once you've introduced your next principle or topic, all you need to do is repeat the same steps we just went over again. And when you've reached the end of your workshop, whether it's 1 hour, a full day, or 3 days, have a final closure exercise and then wrap that up with a powerful story that will emotionally move them and have them leaving motivated, inspired, ready to go home or back to work, where they started from, to go from where they are to where they want to be. Oh, one more thing. Remember, whenever you can, use visual aids whenever you're running a workshop or speaking. There are basically 3 types of learner: auditory, visual, and kinesthetic. And if you follow the formula we've been discussing, plus some PowerPoint or keynote slides, you will have accommodated and reached all 3 types. And that's how you think like a trainer and lead a compelling and engaging workshop. But of course, feel free to modify the outline I provided to make your workshop.
So with that said, where we're going at this point is to just getting ready to close down. Before we close down, we have a few minutes. I do want to offer that if people have any questions, to please feel free to take yourselves off of mute. You can either, what I would ask though is keep yourself on mute if you're, unless you are asking a question. And the other option is that you are welcome to go ahead and send chat question through chat if you prefer to do that. So we'll just allow a couple of minutes here to see if there are any questions that anybody has.
I have a question about mailing handouts in advance to the hotel.
Yes.
When should they be mailed? At what point will the hotel accept them?
So that information is that typically they will accept them up to 3 days prior. And what you will need to do is make sure that you're listing all of your information so that they'll know that you're going to be a guest and when you're going to be a guest and all of that. You will also, there will be a charge for you sending those things, so it's important to just pay attention to that, recognize that. And if you're needing more information about that, please let me know. It's also on the, if you go into the website, so if you go into kempconference.org, what you will find is that at the bottom of the conference page, there's exhibitor information, and it actually provides information that also would be helpful for those of you who are presenters if you're planning to send things rather than carry them with you, about all of the shipping information that you would need. And I see that we have a few questions. So questions are, as far as the exhibiting information, as I said, that information is on the website. What's important to know about that as well is that your exhibitor tables will be outside of the general session room where we will have like our keynotes and all of that. They will be along the hallway. You will have a a table and a chair, and the tables will be skirted from my understanding. And you're welcome to start setting up on Tuesday morning. The conference starts at 1 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon. We ask that you be set up by that time. So whenever you would like to start to set up, then you're able to do so. As far as room setup, the room setup is the same for everyone this year. So they will be set up in theater style, which means rows of chairs with center aisle. And so if you are choosing to put your room around for your session, I often will do that myself. But what you will need to do is put the room back into order by the time your session is over, so that it's the way it was when you came in. As far as send out the webinar to participants, excuse me, what will happen is that this webinar is going to be recorded. It is being recorded, I should say, and will be posted on our website within the next day or two. So those who did not get to participate will be able to participate via webinar, will be able to participate by just getting on and watching the webinar. Let's see, other questions. So the guidelines for exhibiting, I'm not quite sure, Marissa, what you're asking specifically. If I haven't answered that in what I just said, please go ahead and type in a little bit more information. I'll do what I can to answer what specific question you might have. As far as tables in every room, there will be one presenter table in the room. And there may be tables in the back that are, or something in the back of the room that for water or something like that. But typically there's just one table in the front of the room. We wouldn't be able to get everybody, a lot of people into the room if we had tables for everyone. Let's see, other questions. Does Whova app support presentation formats other than PowerPoint? I believe it does, but I'm going to ask that question of of those who are my teammates who I'm working with to see if they will be able to provide that information in the email that will be sent out next week, so that you all will know that whether Prezi works. I'm pretty sure it does, but I want to just confirm that before saying absolutely yes. And as far as I think I just talked about the table, so there will be one table, and then there will be the AV cart that will have the laptop on it and the projector with the screen. Deadline to submit and upload materials. So you don't need to submit anything to us. You will need to submit it onto the Whova app. You guys will be uploading your own presentation materials onto the Whova app once that goes live, which will be some point next week. So what that means is that you'll have until really we ask that you have things uploaded the week before, so the end of the week that week, which Friday I believe is maybe the 18th, or no, excuse me, like the 14th or 15th of November. I'm sorry, I don't have the it would be the 15th actually, as I think it through. So we ask that you have everything uploaded by the 15th, but we also recognize that there may be some last minute changes that you're making to your PowerPoint, for instance. So if you make changes after the 15th, we ask that you just quickly take down the one that you had and upload the most recent version. What's important to understand is that participants will have the opportunity prior to the conference to make copies, if they choose to, of any of the materials that are on the Whova app. And so if people are choosing on their own, we don't see it too often, but there may be some participants who want to make copies so that they come in with their own copies. So that's why we intend and encourage that people have their materials uploaded by the 15th at the latest. Again, what we also will note is that after the conference is over, whatever materials you've uploaded continue to remain available for everyone who attended the conference for a good 6 months or more after the conference is over. So just be aware of that. And that way, if you've got versions that you've uploaded that people have copied and they don't have the most recent version, they will have the opportunity after the conference to get back in there and upload or download the most recent version and make copies. And we will be sending reminders about this stuff so that you've got that. So typically, as far as microphones, there are not microphones in each room. There are 40 to 50 chairs available. And so what that means is that the rooms are not such that we are going to have microphones in them. We ask that you bring your presenter voice or your outside voice into the room. And you're not going to know how many people will be in your session until you actually have the session, because we like to provide people the opportunity to come in and pick whatever session they're going to attend and attend that session. So as a result of that, we will not know ahead of time. We just know that based on the size of the room and how many chairs are in the room, approximately what the capacity of the room size is, which is roughly 50 people for each room. If there are any other questions, I'll ask that you let me know those now, because we have approximately 1 minute before we close. Okay, so I'm not hearing any more questions. So here's what I'm going to ask is that if you do have further questions, please feel free to send an email. And whoops, looks like maybe one more. So let me get that open. Is there a minimum amount of participants needed to run a session? Great question. Yeah, I mean, it's up to you guys. We're going to leave that to your discretion. If you have planned your session in such a way that it's not going to work if you have only 2 participants, then that will be your call as to whether you cancel the session or not. We don't see that very often. If you've got a session that has 2 participants and you do feel like you can still present the information and it's not going to be affected by the number, then you're also welcome to go ahead and go forward with presenting. If you do end up canceling the session, I ask that you wait a good 15 minutes before you do that from the start time of your session, so that in case people are just running late getting there, which sometimes happens, that we're giving people ample time to get to the session. And if you do end up canceling because of low participation, then I would ask also that you come to the registration table and let us know that, so that we're able to note that that has happened, and because that's helpful information for us as well. So that will be important. The other thing that I will tell you actually before we close is that all of the session evaluation information that we get, we encourage people to fill out the evaluations that are going to be on the Whova app, and all of those evaluations will be tallied, and you will receive information from us about those sessions at the end of the session. The other thing too, or not at the end of the session, sorry, within a few weeks after the conference. The other thing as well that I do want to say is that you're going to have people in your sessions who are going to be earning continuing education credits. They will have a sheet that you will need to sign off on as a presenter in order for them to get those credits. That's to verify that they have attended the session. So please know that they may approach you after the session to have you do that. And at this point, I am going to go ahead and wind us down. I will say thank you to all of you for your time today, once again, from a very snowy Denver today. Wish you all well, and thank you once again for planning to present at this conference. We really value all of the information you're going to be bringing and sharing with everyone. And at this point, it's looking like we have close to 450 people attending the conference. So it's going to be a good turnout. And how can we not enjoy being in San Diego? So I wish you all well, and I look forward to seeing you in San Diego. Take care.
Thank you. Very informative. Bye-bye.